But it's got to be a better way. Better way, yeah. Anyway, there's got to be a better way. I, I shot my last video. My phone, it ran out of memory card. I don't know exactly where it ran out because I did my chores and I saw the record light had stopped shining. It's a little red light. But I'm probably going to publish that video. If you're watching this video, then I did publish the other one, and that's the main thing to watch if you want to watch the video. I wanted to raise some ideas. I wanted to circulate some ideas, bring them up. It's all food for thought. I'm not trying to be, nonconformist. I'm not trying to create people to have paranoia, but I've observed multiple instances where I know that there is a certainty that technology is going to be used in ways that don't benefit you. And if you depend entirely or utilize certain products, you're going to get compromised. Your privacy is going to be compromised, and I believe a day is coming where the electrical grid where I'm at is going to fail. And so I've shared in videos, I believe that at some point in my life I am going to witness a famine. I also have other convictions. I believe that in conjunction with desperation and starvation, there will be a failure of the electrical grid where I live. And this is because of a vision I had that God gave me 12 years ago. I've alluded towards it. I've shared it in detail. And so dependency on these things, devices, whatever you want to call it, they are a means to an end for now. And it could be that God brings about a course of events in which He turns it off. Maybe not everywhere, but maybe everywhere. There are events that can happen that would pretty much wipe out the grid as we know it. You can watch Doomsday Preppers, EMPs, solar flares, blah, blah, blah. You know, natural disasters can actually severely impact electricity generation and distribution. So we don't need to go into all that, but what I'm saying is I have a mindset that certain technologies, I don't want them. I'll just give some examples. If someone gives my child a tablet or a smartphone, I'm going to break it. I'll give it back to them and say, here, you really should take this back and keep it. And I don't care if that's my mother-in-law or my wife, future wife. If someone gives my child something that I don't want them to have, I'm going to tell them, no thank you. But if you really give it to my child, I'm going to break it in your face. Because I don't want that right now for my child. Do I want my children to know how to use computers? Of course. But I don't want my 2-year-old playing Angry Birds, you know. I don't want my 5-year-old playing Minecraft. I don't want my 10-year-old looking at porno. And that's the world we live in. So I make conscious decisions. I have attitudes. We all, if you're watching this video, you are using a computer. How do we limit and draw boundaries? I've said it in a video prior. I believe technology has impaired our ability to communicate with one another, to be intimate, and for us to have structure and healthy boundaries with people in general, whether it's business, private, personal, you know, whatever. These phones, if that's what you want to call them, have become the first thing people look at and the last thing they look at. When they wake up, when they go to bed, it has become a thing where, you know, some people are better suited to balance it than others. Some people, I've seen it, smartphones have taken a hold of them and they don't even know it. Major phone addiction. And there's a lot of irony and hypocrisy. And if I really wanted to dwell on it, it would be extremely demoralizing and depressing. So, it was about 9 years ago. I said, what's God going to do all this? Is he going to like wipe it out? Or, I mean, I'm not like anti-technology. I know that most people cannot balance things like this. It can take a lot of time. I think everyone gets what I'm saying. If you don't, praise the Lord. Maybe you're Amish, Mennonite, or backwoods. You know, if you're addicted to your phone and you like it, I bet your husband doesn't like it. I bet your wife doesn't like it. I bet your child doesn't like it, or I bet your parent doesn't like it. So, 10 years ago, I knew a 70-year-old man who was addicted to his Kindle and his smartphone, and his son came to visit him. His son was in medical school, almost out, and his grown son, who's almost out of medical school, had to tell this man, Dad, put your phone up. I didn't come down here to sit and watch you doodle with this thing. Well, it's not just harmful in those ways. I believe the broader, what God's revealed to me, is the lack of privacy, the infringement on privacy, the way it causes you to be dependent on these corporations even more, even for financial transactions. Now you're not just dependent on a bank, you're dependent on a corporation to provide a device and multiple other corporations to provide software to make it convenient. Meanwhile, you're also dependent on sources of income that may or may not be dependent on them providing you services to reach your audience. And someone can, and I'm sure if you've been on YouTube and you had an influencer, if you're a Christian or prepper, There's many people that have been concerned about violating the terms of use, so they use secondary platforms like Patreon, Rumble, and I'm sure there's some other ones. Truth Social. There's alternative social media, but you know, the paradigm is YouTube is the big daddy. YouTube videos. I've used YouTube videos to help me repair my truck. You can almost find out if you need to fix anything. There's so much useful utility to YouTube, and there is so much garbage. It is infinite, and it's all training AI around the clock, ongoing, all the time, and you need to be aware. AI, as I said in the previous video, is going to be a huge theme. Average people, or people who are below average intelligence but have a above average propensity for scams, are going to be able to use AI to forge, counterfeit. I saw some scams on crypto Twitter that were designed so well that they were almost indistinguishable from the legitimate accounts. It's everywhere. So these are things to be aware of as we move forwards. We need God literally to show us what are the threats. What are the things that we need to be aware of? Do you want to be 100% dependent on a system, a world system, or do you want to ask the Lord for the direction? Do you want to turn your kids over to public schools? Do you want to turn your kids over to social media and allow them to be targeted by algorithms designed to cause them to be addicted to the said service? Do you want to just give the keys over to your privacy, to your house? Do you really want multiple cameras at all times in your house that you cannot be sure are not recording? You can't. Matter of fact, you can't even take the battery out of your smartphone. You cannot disconnect it from the power supply. That should say enough right there. That alone kind of says it all. By design, you really can't turn it off. And there was a whistleblower named Eric Snowden who brought this up years ago. Okay. My Aunt Dorothy told me one time, well, I don't have anything to hide, and we got to stop these terrorists. I don't care if they collect information and they can listen to me. Oh, really? Well, her husband has like long-range guns, and does she really want to be labeled as like a potential white supremacist because she's being listened to, and they find out that her husband has the ability to make his own bullets? What if they outlaw the ability to make bullets? Now, all of a sudden, you are a criminal. I wasn't a criminal yesterday, now I am, and all this data has been collected. Even the fact of, there's so many things that can be taken out of context and used against you. I've been around the block and lived long enough to know and see just how they targeted Donald Trump, and they, on Twitter, silenced his Twitter account, stripped him of the voice, the voice that he had, and propagated their own narratives. So they silence the president, and then they spin their own web and narrative. It's disgusting. So these are things to be aware of, to pray into, because I'm sure some of you, God's been revealing lifestyle changes, relocation. I'm sure if you watch my channel, you've been contemplating growing your own food, learning how to grow food, learning how to buy, silver or precious metals. You might have wanted to move away from a city. I've heard there's so many people that are exiting paradigms that they were stuck in their whole life. The cliche is people saying they're getting out of the matrix. That's the way the world talks about it. They got red pilled, they got this, they got that. Everywhere you run, there you are. And so, if the Lord's leading you into crypto, even, that's a big deal. Crypto does not sleep, and it's always changing. There is a ton of misinformation. There's a lot of good information. There is so many uncertainties. There is a lot of volatility. Information in that space has been weaponized. And so it seems like the main narrative in America is the news is making people feel like it's too risky, it's too volatile, and too prone to, like it's not a safe. What seems to be the mainstream narrative is it's not safe. FTX and the scams and blah, 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 and the government's going to crack down any day. Well, many of the same people that are hearing these stories and reporting, they don't trust the media to begin with. And so the same people who tell me, well, the government's going to ban it and they're going to do the digital dollar and you ain't going to... Bull. That's not even... Crypto's not just about money. It's about data storage. It's about all kinds of stuff. Maybe I'll make a video on the multiple revelations you can have about what crypto could mean. Because crypto could emerge as essential after a blackout, after a famine, before and after. If anyone's seen the movie Blade Runner, the second one is actually really crazy movie. I love science fiction. I love futuristic. What is it called? Apocalyptic, dystopian. I love those types of movies. Like as a kid, a young man, those were the kind of books I wanted to read. 1984, Brave New World. I was just intrigued. Well, I think we're halfway there. But in Blade Runner, they refer to pre-blackout and certain files that were corrupted, and then, you got post-blackout. So, I'm just here to say, this is my closing statement. I literally believe that I have reason to believe from God that Jesus is not returning for quite a while. Matter of fact, most of the people watching this video will probably be dead before he comes back. That's what I believe. It's not funny. I'm just like, it's hard to say that openly. I believe it's going to get so bad, as the Bible says, it will be a time unsurpassed in distress since nations began. So it will be exceedingly distressing, exceedingly distressful. I mean, I just really don't believe we're there. I know things can happen rapidly, but God, I believe, has given me dreams and visions to make me believe I should expect to endure and some people say occupy till I come. Keith gave a sermon about occupy till I come. We don't need to make assumptions that we're going to be raptured at any moment. We need to ask God, what do I need to know, God? What do I need to know now? What do you want to show me? My number one prayer for the past 2 or 3 years was, Lord, what do you want to show me? Because I had been praying for specific things and not getting results. I was praying, claiming things that didn't happen the way I wanted them to do. This is my testimony. I started praying, Lord, what do you want to show me? And he started revealing things to me that I could not have even asked for. And I know it's a blessing. And with all the prophetic insights that God has given on crypto, everyone's been wrong about timing. That does not mean they are false. Many prophets saw things. Daniel saw the end times. John the Revelator, Book of Revelations, he prophesied things that still have not happened. Jesus prophesied things that have not happened. It's a pattern that sometimes a prophet is not alive to see what God shows him. Now, I do believe I will be alive to see crypto be a financial windfall blessing because God's shown me. That way I interpret it. I believe many of the people who are under the sound of my voice here in this video will be alive, and I believe some of it is very soon. I believe Luna Classic is going to go up in value and create life-changing wealth very soon. Something that I will share. I shouldn't share this in public. Everyone